It is I, and my beautiful face. So I figured I'd take a moment to show you guys exactly what it takes to live stream all this crap. You can kind of see in the bottom corner here. Bottom corner, hang on. You can see all the icons I have open here. Task scheduler, chatbot, all the OBS instances, VLC, and of course Chrome. So all these things play a role in live streaming all this stuff. You know, you may think that you just sign on to YouTube and it's all there. You get to see all the ducks running around and all the birds and all that garbage, right? And everybody loves it, you know. But realistically, it takes some technical ability to make all this stuff work. And I guess I'm going to show you a little bit of what it takes today. I gotta warn you, this video is going to get into the depths of some real technical things, and I know some of you guys really ain't into that, and it's out of your, I guess, your comfort zone, your wheelhouse of understanding, and that's really okay. This video isn't particularly meant for you, but if you want to stick around and watch, I promise that I'll you know, introduce things like this guy here, right? So anyway, so what should we get into first? Let's firstly let's look at what it takes to make party mode. So party mode isn't one of the more complicated things I've done, but it's one of the easiest, I think, and we'll take a look at it here real quick. So we have chatbot. Chatbot is made by Streamlabs. There are a lot of commands that you can specify in chatbot, but the one we're looking at here is let's see, not epic party mode. I mean, whatever. Let's do epic party mode, right? So what we're looking at here is our command that we specify, which is epic party mode, who can do it, and what it costs to run epic party mode, like what it costs you in terms of points. You'll notice down here there's a box that says response. And what I'm doing here is it doesn't actually, and this isn't going to make any sense. I promise, it doesn't make sense to me. So what it's going to do is save to this file some text, namely text. And then it will dump this message out into chat. And that is epic party mode for 30 points, right? And if it fails, it'll dump this message. And then it's going to change the scene. So none of these things here really do anything to make epic party mode happen. That's fine. We don't need it to. All it does is ensure that the scene that you see on YouTube is inside the hen house. So what we're going to do here is dump this text to this file, epic party mode, and when that file changes, we have, let me clear these, we have this guy right here. This is called log monitor. And you know, there's ways to do this programmatically to make it do things, right, that you want it to do, say in Python or Java or whatever. I can't write code. I can write enough of it to get me in trouble, but I can't write any Python. So what we got here is we go find epic party mode, and I was just there. We have epic party mode right here. And that is, you notice, the same as what's in chatbot. So save to file, g text epic party mode.txt, and you have the same thing right here. So we're going to look at properties, and again you have the file to monitor, and if the file has been changed, this is important. So when the file's been changed, what it's going to do is look at the interval to check, which I have set to 1 second, so that any 1 second you can type this in and it will perform that action. Then it will do an action. And right now I have it set to a batch file. And the batch file, sure, I could do PowerShell or anything like that, but it really doesn't matter. So it will run this batch file, and it will only do it once, which is what we want. And then we have this tab here called Schedule. And this keeps all you guys from running at past 8 a.m. or 8 a.m. p.m. past 8 p.m. Or is it 9? Yeah, whatever. Past 9 p.m. so that you don't, upset the birds or any of that stuff. Anything out of this time frame won't run. So now that we know where it goes, it does this thing, goes to Epic Party Mode Batch. So we're going to open our scripts folder, and we're going to find, and I do not have it actually named Epic Party Mode. What did I name it? Yeah. Short attention span, Light Flash Epic. So we go find Light Flash Epic, and we go to Edit. And you'll notice there's a bunch of repeating commands. That's how high tech this is. So these URLs, so this 216, if we go to that URL in Chrome, okay, I didn't think it was going to load. Then I have to figure out why Epic Party Mode doesn't work. You'll notice that each number here up to 4, and I don't use 1 because that's a USB port. So we have 2, 3, and 4, right? So if we toggle between 2 and 3, 2 will toggle one of the Christmas lights, and 3 will toggle the other string of Christmas lights, where 217 is on its own controller to trigger the disco ball. And what that does is, first, this whole script sets everything off, excluding 216. So it sets everything off to prep. And all these guys here, 251 and 216, power 1, 2, 2, and 3, are the lights. So the string lights, the recess lighting, any of the lights in the hen house that need to be off in order to make Epic Party Mode actually visible. And the first one is the string lights, so it sets it to on so that there is some light in there. And the other two turn off the recess lights and any other lights that are currently on. It then turns on this command, it turns on the disco ball, waits 2 seconds, and then flips back and forth for a few lines between the two strings of light while the disco ball is going. At the end, it turns off the strings of lights and sets the appropriate lights back on after 3 seconds, which would be the recess lighting, which is the majority of the lighting in the main wire run. After that, chatbot takes your 30 points, and it has a 10-minute cooldown, so you can't run it again, and you get to see all the birds run in terror. Isn't that great? So that's how most of the things on this channel work, through batch commands and whatnot. And as we can see here, there's a few other commands, right? It's fairly simple in regards to programmatically or programmatic complexity, right? So there's not a whole lot going on realistically. The most difficult one is actually bird tracker and how to turn it on and off. Figuring out XML that's not documented is one of the oh boy, it was one of the most difficult things I've ever done in terms of making some Chinese piece of garbage actually work. So as I'm scrolling through here, I'm looking for, yeah, track on and off. And I'll find it here in a second. Yeah, all right, there we go. Same thing. You can see it saves to a file. You can see it dumps a thing into chat. And that's it in chatbot. But as we go over here to track on and off, you can see that it is modifying, or it's watching a modification of that text file. And if we go to properties, our actions are a little bit different here. It doesn't actually run a batch script. It runs a curl command. So none of these passwords, by the way, are accessible to the external. So, you know, being smart isn't going to get you anywhere. But if we look at, we'll fire up Notepad here. If we look at the command, so the URL here is kind of misleading. So IntelliTrace is something that they call it in the firmware, not actually in the documentation. So I believe in the documentation it's called smart tracking. And in their documentation, it doesn't actually mention how to turn IntelliTrace on and off. You have to actually probe the camera to figure out where this command sits. And Hikvision doesn't really want you to do that, I guess. So I had to spend some time actually decompiling firmware to figure out where this is. And it was fun, but not that fun. You know what I mean? It was fun when I was done. Like I realized, like, yeah, I made it. But this was much more painful than it needed to be. Like if they were to just put this in documentation, it would have been super easy. So yeah, anyway, this was one of the most difficult commands to put together, even though it looks fairly simple sitting here. Yeah. So the problem here is we actually need to put some XML. And when I say put some XML, I literally mean that put. So there's post and get and put and push, and there's different types of HTML curl commands that you have to use with curl, and put is one of them. So normally when you go to a website, the web browser will use a get. It'll reach out and get, and it actually is getting a file from that web server. So this command in particular, put, it puts to that web server, which is why you need credentials, right? And what we're doing here is putting XML onto that camera, that web server. And you can see there in opening and closing, what is that, greater and less than signs or whatever, you have enabled. And the flag is going to be true or false. And you need to put this whole key here into that camera. If we look at the other one, which is going to be track off, you can see here that same thing, same command, but now we have FOSS. So what that's doing is turning the bird tracker on and off and allowing it to actually physically track, the birds, the geese. So I didn't need to put this in a batch file because it's a relatively simple command, and adding it into a batch file just adds complexity. There's really no reason for it. So let's see, I guess, what it looks like when one of you guys run Epic Party Mode. So if I open VLC and I go to my RTSP feed, I believe it's under Manage, if I can click. Yeah, so we pull the RTSP URL and go back to VLC, open network stream, and we try not to deafen everybody. And we play that. So you have a pretty good view here of the lights above, right? And then we go back to our scripts and we run the batch file. So this will not affect the outside camera or how it moves or any of that stuff. All it's going to do is flash the lights. So we'll run this. So you can see the main lights went off, the disco ball is on, and the Christmas lights are flashing. And this is what it looks like every time you guys run all this code up here, every time you guys run that command. And then it turns the lights back on. And this is, it's, like infinitely expandable, right? Like I can make other things happen based on time, timeouts, movement. It's actually how I control my door too. My automatic door over here. So same thing. Let's find it. Morning door open. If you look, this is a little more complex, right? So you can see up here that I turn bird tracker off. This is the command to turn it off. These guys here, they are for lights. No, they're not lights. These are door open. So these will turn on the lights and start running the door to open. And then down here we set the scene on OBS, which would be here. And you can see door open, and that will swap over to the scene. So that sets the scene. And we have here just a remark, and I was incorrect. This one opens the door. So this starts running the linear actuator to raise the door up. And then we have here our outdoor and indoor. So 64 is the indoor PTC, 65 is the outdoor PTC. So what happens is the indoor PTC moves over and looks at the door here, and so does the outdoor one. They both point themselves toward the door. We wait 15 seconds while the door is going up, and then to get everybody excited, we run the feeder for 6 seconds. So what this does is turn it on and then turn it off. We wait 20 seconds for the entire time it takes the door to go up, and then we turn off the relay that controls that linear actuator. And then again, we want to make sure that the scene is set to outside because we spent time inside. We want to set it to outside. And then we want to set 64, which is the indoor, to the old PTZ position, which is 1, which is an overview. And then down here, we turn bird tracker back on. Super simple, right? So now you know how bird tracker works and how the morning door open works and all that good stuff. So I can go through this all day. There's lots of commands that I can show you. Lots of stuff that I've done. And you know, for the astute among you, you're probably looking at this text file right here going, why's he got a document on his desktop that says A.S.S? And the answer is, I really don't know. Maybe I was angry at myself one day. But we're going to open it together and find out. Yeah. That was past me hating future me. Anyway. So the last thing I do have to show you is something really that I found out yesterday. So you notice I have 4 of these OBS instances down here. And all 4 of these were on separate machines at one point, but I have them all on one machine now. And the reason I have them all on one machine is because you can actually run OBS in portable mode. And what that means is, that the OBS program doesn't actually store all of its settings in your profile on Windows. So you can see I have one for Twitch, I have one for YouTube, YouTube Brooder, and Hatchet, right? So this is both the main streams and then the secondary streams. And the problem here is when you go into your task manager, right? And it shows you what is using your GPU. You have 4 instances of OBS. And you want those instances to use the NVIDIA And NVENC encoder because it's fast. And when you're encoding video at 1080p or whatever and pumping it out to YouTube, you want it to be fast. You want it to not lag. The problem is NVIDIA doesn't like it when you, the consumer, do things that are servery with consumer-based cards. So you have this file here, and what it does is it actually patches a driver to make it so that there's no limits. You don't have to buy a Tesla card or any of that nonsense to let you do server things. So there's a limit of 3. 3 encode streams, I believe, or 4. 4. But I believe Windows takes up like 2 or 3 of them, just running the desktop and some other stuff. So what happens is you can only run like 3 streams in total. So what do you do when you have 4, right? You don't buy a server card as a normal person, right? That's crazy. That's a lot of money. And you got to pay licensing and all that stuff to use those features. And realistically, it's bullshit. You should be able to, well, do things on your product that really you want to do. And these kinds of things give you the ability to do that. So, like for example, some people may know what SRIOV is. SRIOV lets you use a piece of hardware on like VMware and assign virtual machines to that hardware. So say you have one computer, think of one computer, right? And you have a video card and a CPU, and those things are really powerful. Like you went out and bought a 3080 or 3090 or something RTX card, and you spent $3,000 on it because scalpers are jerks, and you know, you have friends and you'd like to have a LAN party, right? So you build a server where the virtual machines that run in it have all your games on it, and you find out that once you've built a server with these virtual machines, you can't assign time from that video card to anything but one machine. So your idea of a central box for a LAN party, it doesn't work because NVIDIA's decided that screw you, the consumer, they need their money. So what this does is this helps alleviate some of that. There's other graphics drivers hacks that you can implement that kind of allow you to do what I was talking about, where you can build a machine and share it among your friends. But this, for example, allowing you to run multiple encode streams is kind of one of the ways you can stick it to NVIDIA per se, and get your money's worth. The ability to, in my case, save on hardware, right? So each one of these, if I wasn't able to run OBS in portable mode or run more than 3, to buy a encoder box for each one of these streams is, there's some words that I could use that are very offensive, right? Like greedy and shitty and lots of other things that are just very anti-consumer. Because think about it. If each box, if you're going buying an RTX card, if you're buying a CPU and storage and a motherboard, a case, and all that stuff, you're looking at close to $1,500 for each individual box. Whereas I can do one box and save that money and run multiple instances and have a nice video card in here. Because if we look at, I have a video card that can do it. Let's see here, performance. So my Ethernet isn't really being saturated for a gigabit. So actually, I think this box has 10 gig. Does it have 10 gig? I don't remember. Now I gotta know. God, I hate Windows 10 and them trying to get rid of all of the crap that makes it easy. So yeah, I got a Mellanox Connect X3 in here. It's 10 gig. So I'm not even anywhere close to saturating this box's Ethernet connection. And I'm certainly not going to saturate my internet connection because I have gigabit internet. But anyway, the whole point of it is, right, with these kinds of things, this here, I can do this stuff on a box that saves me money and lets me do more of it, right? So you do what you can to save a few bucks. And when you're running 4 different streams, this is both YouTube and Twitch, and then we have Incubate or Brooder Cam, and then we have Hatcher Cam. So I'd have to build many computers to run all this stuff, and I'm thinking of adding more streams. Like, no, I'm not paying $1,500 a box to stream stuff. That's stupid. Anyway, what are we at here? 28 minutes. You guys have probably skipped most of this video, and that's okay. I didn't need those hours anyway. If you did watch this far, thank you. You're the best. And if you didn't, well, still thanks. I guess, it's whatever. I got some hours or minutes out of it. So you can, for the people who haven't seen like the YouTube, studio board or whatever, like if we go to the Go Live section and we look at, my main stream, because my other 2 are offline because I messed it up, and we look at analytics, you can see here there's peaks and valleys and stuff like that. And it's the same way on videos. So the more you guys watch, the more hours I get, the better it is for the channel. If we go to analytics here and say we watch we look at the first one on the list, right? So I got 50 views, which is nothing compared to some of the other guys. And we go to analytics, we see that if I do videos that have something cute in it, my analytics go higher, right? So in the first hour or something like that, first 5 hours, you know, it exceeded the expectations that Google had for a video like this. And, you know, realistically what that means is the name of the video, right? So I included things you guys are familiar with, Truman, Mama Duck, and you gotta take the good with the bad. And, hey, it is what it is. But, you know, some videos do better than others. If we go sort by views, like Hawk eating a roll of tape. Yeah, he's an idiot, and people like that. People like to see my dog being an idiot. That got 28,000 views, and me spraying popcorn, 7,900 views. Anyway, it's not relevant. Once I hit a certain point, things will be a little bit easier for me in terms of creatorship or whatever. Does it matter? Not really. Anyway, I'll see you guys later, and thanks for watching.